Minute disaster simulation, not to scare you, but to quietly give you the mindset, the tools and the systems to survive a year of urban unrest breakdown. This is surviving urban unrest lockdowns, staying safe and smart at home for a year. Stay with me here because this is going to be a very serious episode, because the biggest mistakes that most people make happen within the first 24 hours of a disaster, whether it's man-made or natural. Let's define the situation. This is not a zombie apocalypse. This is worse because it's realistic. There's a financial system freeze. Political legitimacy just collapses. A defoliation agent has been used. Plant life in some places is completely cooked. Protests escalate into neighborhood-level conflicts. Supply chains are failing unevenly across the country. Police response becomes selective. Power and water are intermittent. Information is fragmented and it's weaponized. This is setting up for an entire year or longer of instability, the likes that we have never seen in our lifetimes. You are not fleeing into the woods. You are sheltering in place, in an apartment, in a house, a duplex, or a city block. The average person assumes that help is coming, but prepared people assume it might not. That single mental shift changes everything. I want to be real with you here on the channel, and to me, mental survival comes first. Before food, before the gear, before weapons, your mind is your first survival tool. In prolonged unrest, people don't fail from starvation. They fail from panic. They fail from denial and bad decisions. Here's the mental framework survivors use. Number one is accept the new information early. Denial burns time. Time is your most valuable resource. If you accept disruption early, you will stalk quietly, avoid crowds, preserve energy, and stay invisible. Number two, shrink your world. Your survival radius is now your home, your block, and your trusted circle. You don't argue online. You don't chase rumors. You focus on what you can control. Number three is think in weeks and not days. This is not about riding it out. It's about pace. If you rush early, you can burn out before month 3. Ask yourself, I need to ask myself, could I live my current lifestyle for a year if everything stopped? If that question made you uncomfortable, that's good. Awareness is the first upgrade. After solidifying our survivor mentality, I'm going to talk about food and water. This is the quiet foundation. So let's get very practical here. Water is a non-negotiable. The minimum you should have on hand in any preparedness scenario is a gallon per person per day. The goal would be at least a 30 to 90 day supply. So you can store that in food grade containers. You can store it in the bathtub, but you might want to use that bathtub, right? There's gravity filters like a Berkey style water filter. There's also other filtration methods like the Hiker Pro that's in my Go Bag backpack, and this is a replacement filter, right? Because you need replacement filters. You just can't have the one. With all the filter systems that I have, I've calculated that I can filter approximately 30,000 gallons of water. Depending on water quality and if I can pre-filter properly, those filters are gonna last approximately 30,000 gallons. You also wanna have backup purification tablets. I've got a whole bunch in here and a whole bunch in here, and then of course, some in the storage lockers behind. Tonight, count how many gallons that you have in storage. I'm looking at mine right now behind the camera, and also how many gallons you can filter. Most people are shocked by the answer. Moving beyond water, let's talk about food. Eat boring. Eat calm. Forget survival fantasy food. You want shelf-stable foods. That means no refrigeration is necessary. You want easy-to-prepare food. Sometimes people would say rice and beans. Well, beans, you have to think about, they need soaking and they need cooking for long amounts of time. That takes a lot of fuel. So we need to think about these things as well, because you can have all the dry beans in the world, but dry beans are really hard to chew through unless you cook them first. So the core foods are rice, are beans, but remember, you have to have a way to cook these things. Lentils, again, have to have a way to cook these things. Oats, canned meat, canned veggies, peanut butter, cooking oil of various kinds. I like avocado oil and olive oil primarily. Salt. Salt is critical. It keeps our electrolytes in balance. We need salt in a big way. So make sure you go out and get some salt. Adding to those core foods, you could add multivitamins. You can add freeze-dried food for convenience. Remember, easy to prepare. Freeze-dried food, oftentimes you just boil water, add it to it, and it's good to go. Electrolyte packets. So on top of the salt, you're then getting some magnesium so you don't have muscle cramps. You're getting some potassium, again, to prevent muscle cramps. Those kind of things are so valuable. Comfort food. This matters more than people admit. Why does it matter? Well, a stressed mind burns calories faster and makes poor decisions. Here's my rule with food. If you wouldn't eat it tired, anxious, and cold, don't store it. In this 1 year urban unrest scenario, we need to talk about home security. We need to talk about blending, not fighting, as much as physically possible. In urban unrest, visibility equals vulnerability. Your goal is to not look like a fortified place that's full of good things to eat and tools and all of that kind of stuff. It's actually to look boring. We want to talk about layered home defense. So let's reinforce the doors and strike plates of our home. No matter if it's an apartment or a home, whatever it is, reinforce those things now. Have window film or curtains so you don't have silhouettes at night so people can see you from outside. Have motion sensor lights. As long as we still have power or solar power, right? You can have solar powered motion sensors as long as we have the sun shining, and if it's not shining, we have big problems. But motion lights that are outward facing can give you some security because you can see things moving out in the dark, but they can't see you if you've got your lights down low. Sound discipline. After dark, strict sound discipline so that, because voices and noises carry a long ways after dark, and you want to make sure that you are being quiet and not attracting undue attention. Let's talk about some of the low profile security gear that's sitting here on the table. Number one is there's a couple flashlights sitting here. These flashlights have huge lumen potential, so if you need to see, you can see a lot. But they also have modes that you can use them in a moonlight mode, so you can just see in front of your feet or to read a map or some other thing. So if you're doing something close to your face, you're not going to lose your night vision because you're using this big light that's either on or off. Very important that way. So have multiple flashlights and make sure that they are rechargeable and that you have a way to recharge them for a long time, or that you have a lot of batteries. So battery packs next. We want to talk about battery banks, solar chargers in order to feed these items, especially the ability to make light. Fire extinguishers, they're very important. I've got one back there, one over there in this garage, and they also double as a defense tool. Have them in multiple locations in your house, downstairs, upstairs, in the garage, in the kitchen, those kind of things. First aid and trauma kit, right? A tourniquet right here is attached to the trauma kit. I'm gonna go through this in another video, and you can see all the different bits and pieces with that. But skills are very important. First aid skills, if you haven't taken first aid, take some first aid. And I would recommend going beyond that and getting some trauma first aid. Weapons are a personal choice, and you need to be comfortable with your choices. But skills, awareness, and avoidance keep you safer than bravado. Best defense tactic, don't show to others that you're worth the risk. This right here is my tactical patrol pack. It's if I need to actually go out and provide security and do the things that are necessary. This over here is a bug out. This is actually to evacuate the area quickly and gives me the tools that I need in order to do that. But you need to have this sorted, and you need to know if there's given situations, which way you're gonna go. Are you going to provide security, or are you going to try to hide the best you can, or are you going to try to evacuate? So you can see that I am prepared for either scenario. The next thing we're gonna talk about is power, heat, and communication. When the grid goes down, panic spreads fast. Let's talk about solar chargers, because they are a catch-22. Because putting out a solar panel to catch that sun can be a message to anyone saying, there's a solar panel here, come and take it. So you have to be very careful in your deployment of those things. Battery stations, having a large amount of batteries to run your tools and a way to recharge them. Rechargeable lanterns are a great way to go. Again, you need a way to recharge it, whether it be a generator with gasoline, which is gonna make a lot of noise, or a solar option, which again has risks associated with it too. Headlamps, because they're hands-free, it is safer to work. This flashlight actually has a clip on it, so you can just stick this to your backpack or to a belt or whatever, but it'll light up your path. Heating and cooling is a big topic, and it's so important. I have viewers that are from an area that is very different from where I am, and their issues are very much different. They're actually trying to keep themselves cool so that their air conditioning doesn't have to run in an emergency. I am primarily trying to keep heat in. I'm trying to create heat because I live in a very cold climate. So you need thermal blankets. I'm a big fan of having wool blankets. Wool is just naturally such a good insulator. It works even if it's wet, and it is cool as well in the summer. Layered clothing is so important in a year of chaos. You need the ability to regulate your core temperature, and you might not be able to actually run that wood stove. You might not be able to do certain things because it will give away your location. So you're gonna be depending on your clothing. Indoor safe heaters and stoves. I was just gonna mention this because I have all this butane for a stove, and I have a whole bunch more because it is one of our main backups other than our large cooking propane stove. I have indoor kerosene heaters, not because it's the overall best indoor heating system. My first choice for a secondary heat system in a home would be a wood stove. Actually, it's probably my first choice. I love it so much. But in a massive crisis situation where there's a lot of people around, you're not gonna be able to burn your wood stove without other people knowing about it because you're putting out smoke, you're putting out other things. That's why I have an indoor kerosene heating system so that I can heat without any signature whatsoever. You have to be careful with them. You have to have fire extinguishers, of course, and you also have to have some ventilation. Also, you should have carbon monoxide detectors on every level of your home. On to communication, a battery-powered radio so that you can at least hear what's going on. If you broadcast or you just have that radio on, you can be triangulated if someone is trying to find you, just so you know. So you need to take these things into account. You also want to have written emergency contacts so that you know where someone is, and you want to put those on offline maps. You want to have paper maps so that if the system fails, your phone map doesn't work, you've got those paper maps and you've got the directions exactly how to find someone's house, someone's business, the next storage depot that you need to get some resupply from. A notebook goes a long ways. If digital fails, paper remembers. Most people don't realize that the second blackout, if you have a recurring blackout, is worse than the first, because that's when people's hope runs out. Preparing keeps hope alive. The next area I want to talk about is the area of community and trust, and that's one that I don't think the YouTube preparedness community talks about enough, because you will not survive a year alone, probably. But trust becomes rare in these kind of situations, so choose carefully. Your survival circle should be small. It should be skill diverse. You should be able to do a lot of things within that circle, and it should be emotionally stable. This is what I'm talking about, is quiet cooperation. We want to share skills with people, not our supplies. We want to trade knowledge. We want to rotate watchfulness. We want to create routines together. Routines stabilize our nervous system, and a calm nervous system makes better decisions. I want to give you what I believe is the top skill in this year of unrest scenario, and that is adaptability. So because gear runs out, whatever's in this bag, it might run out in one outing. I might lose it because of the circumstance that I'm in. Food gets used up. Plans fail. Adaptability is what carries people through month 9, month 10, 11, 12. Train these skills now before any of this happens, like right away. Practice cooking without power. Go a weekend using only stored food. Turn off the news for 48 hours. I'll bet you that'll help your blood pressure and health. Learn basic repair skills. Get some repair books. Those are great. Get physically capable. You don't have to be extreme, but just functional. Prepared people don't look tough. They look calm. If you want to see me go through these bags in a whole lot of detail, let me know in the comments, and I will look at doing that in a future episode. But I really want to talk to you about a personal action plan. That's really what this channel is all about. So subscribe if you're into taking personal actions and not just watching, a bunch of stuff on YouTube. Let's do this together. Don't try to do everything, but let's just concentrate on doing these 3 things. Inventory what you already have. The number 2 thing would be store water, more than you think. Number 3, build one habit that increases your resilience. And that's it. Momentum beats perfection. I'll say that again. Momentum beats perfection. Keep moving in the right direction, and you don't have to be perfect. Momentum beats perfection. Let me share with you a little story that illustrates a quiet truth. I've been doing disaster preparedness and disaster management for some time, and I've seen people that are in a panic because their house is getting very cold because they don't have another way to heat it. And it's in fact getting too cold to live in. The pipes are starting to freeze, and they're desperate. I've had to open up warming shelters in municipalities so that people can go there just so they can live. So I would say to you this, if nothing happens in the next 20 years, you gain peace of mind. If something does, you gain time. And time is what keeps families together, our minds steady, and futures that are even possible. Preparedness isn't paranoia, it is responsibility. You don't prepare because you expect collapse. You prepare so collapse doesn't decide who you become. Next episode on this topic will focus on resupply within a crisis, scavenging and supply networks months into a disaster when rule of law is gone. But until then, I so appreciate you for being here with me. Subscribe, like, and share this video with that one person who needs this right now. Don't wait. Thanks for watching. Stay aware, stay adaptable, and stay human out there.